Hi, YouTube. I am recording this separately on YouTube streaming live, but I'm going to be doing it on my Instagram to do the contest. So if you want to get into the raffle, go find me on Instagram at Day in the Life of Gina, Gina, Day in the Life of Gina on Instagram. I'll be doing this. I'll be talking to that camera, but I wanted to record it on YouTube just in case my video messes up, So I am going to get started here in just a minute on Instagram. No, no, no barking. No barking. Lay down. So Instagram is telling my followers I'm going live. I see that. Fabulous. It's working. And I guess I'm live now. So we are going to get started here in just a minute. Started it a little early to get it going. I already see some people. I know. Leslie, maybe Ashley. Hi. Dana, she told me she'd be here. Wave. So this is kind of a good test too, because we have a lot of agents we try to encourage to do videos, and I've never really, I've just been dabbling with the whole Instagram live. Love the schedule feature, love the testing out a live video before you post it feature. This was a scheduled one, which was interesting. I just had a moment of, oh my gosh, how long is Instagram live videos? Because, Gina can talk. But just in case, I do have it streaming live on YouTube right now. So we'll have that link if anything fails. That's my YouTube camera. This is my Instagram camera. And these are my notes. So good thing is Gina is just, a little obsessive, weird, over the top, ridiculous. And I typed up all my notes to kind of get my thoughts straight. And this was something that I was excited to be able to do in general, because, sometimes you need accountability. You need a reason to go back through your notes from a conference and reflect and take them in and really kind of get them organized. I don't know about you guys. I'm the kind of note taker that it looks like I might be suffering from some psychosis of, maybe a murderer of some sort. The notes are really all over the place, like sideways, upside down. Maybe the beginning starts, gets down here, and then I start over up here and all the space I could possibly get. So they really are everywhere. And so I always want to get back home. This page especially, this was Apollo Ono, and these notes were sideways all over the place. But I always want to come back home after every Buffini conference. You get one of these workbooks, and it's really to be able to help you keep up, stay along, fill in the blank, don't fall asleep, even though that's hard to do at a Buffini conference. And so I have tons of these. I always set them aside. I want to go back through them, never do. But what do I do now? I tell you guys I'm going to do a recap. So guess what? Now I'm doing the recap, and I'm doing it live. I said I would do it. I was like, should I do it next week? No, just do it tomorrow. We've got it. So then I typed up all my notes, and I'm going to be able to share these with you guys so you can take notes as well. I want you to be commenting whether, when you hear something that really was a good takeaway. I need you to say specifically what it was, your ahas, your takeaways from what I'm sharing, something that you're grateful I shared, so I can kind of see what you guys are appreciating or maybe needing or wanting. And so I see lots of names. Hello, everyone. Brandon, mom. And so we will do a raffle at the end of this, okay? So once you guys comment something that you specifically like, Ashley's gonna keep track of all these comments and put them into a, we're gonna do a wheel of names. It's a website that I found that I really, really like to do contests with. We put all your names in there so you can be in there more than once if you comment more than once of what I'm sharing. And at the end of this, you guys can pick what book you want. So whether it's Bob Beaudine's book, Apollo Ono's book, and I'll share those as we go. Ben Nemton's bucket list journal that I bought one and I absolutely love it. And so you can pick, I decided you can pick which one you want, right? And I'll have that sent to you, the winner. So those are the rules for the raffle. Comment, like, and you can get your name in there. And then at the end too, I'll have a caption or I'll have a link to these notes. So if you want to go back through and review them, what I shared, or have them on paper, I'm going to have that link for you as well. I just wrapped these off, just off the press. So you guys can maybe take a look, read along, and take those in. So I'm going to start with the Brian's presentations first. And I'm hoping I turned my phone on airplane mode. So hopefully no one calls, but I'm still on Wi-Fi. So we'll see how that works. So my takeaways. First, I'm going to start with Brian Buffini's presentations, How to Bounce Back, Recession-Proof Your Business and Finances, and then Bounce Back Goals. And then I'm going to go into Apollo Ono's How Champions Bounce Back, Captain Charlie Plum, A Captain Comeback. That story is real good, guys. And then Bob Beaudine had a small presentation, not so many notes on that one, but I'm going to share with you what he shared with us. And then the Bounce Back Bucket List with Ben Nemton. And so that's going to be the flow of this. And each one of them has some books that I'll share as well and different things like that. I'll tell you a little bit about their story. And yeah, so those are the notes. That's going to be the flow of this. So How to Bounce Back Part 1 and 2. So the theme, that's where my brain was going. The theme of this whole conference was how to bounce back, which we've heard this, we've heard this before. It's kind of like the new normal, right? After COVID, after 2 years of not doing this conference, after all of the things we've been through over the last few years, we're kind of like, okay, no more excuses, no more waiting for the other shoe to drop. Let's do this. We've got to bounce back, and we've got to bounce back better than ever, right? Because your clients have been in the same boat with us, struggling, obstacles, family tragedies. We don't know what's going to happen next. And so we've all been in this together, and now we need each other's help to bounce back. And so I liked the theme, but I thought it was going to be much more like kind of like new normal kind of talk, but it wasn't. Each one of these speakers had such a great take on what it looks like to bounce back, to get up when you've been kicked down, to have something happen to you that's just absolutely awful, the unthinkable, and how did they get through it? And so it was really special the way they formatted this and the way they tied this theme together. It wasn't, here's the new normal now. It was much deeper than that, much more personal and much more impactful, like resonating with so many people. So that was kind of the theme for the conference. How to Bounce Back Part 1 and 2. And I'm going to go over these. I bullet pointed them. And so we all kind of work well with some bullet pointed things. I might stop and kind of go into some of them a little bit more, or I might go through these kind of quickly. So we're bouncing back from the chaos, the control, our culture right now, and then burnout and bad habits. Burnout was my favorite part of this session. So in Brian Buffini and the Buffini Company has something called the 5-circle fit. And it's those circles, his logo is 5 circles, and it goes around your spiritual, family, business, personal, and finances. So he's telling us that we need to get fit in these areas, right? And fitness, he said, when you look up fitness, he references, if you've been to a conference, quotes and definitions. He references quite a bit. So the fitness is measured by the speed in which an individual can recover. That's fitness. So if you think about that, we need to be looking at these 5 circles: spiritual, family, business, personal, and finances, which is very similar to a lot of self-help people. We need to get fit. Our fitness is being tested, and we require a bounce back right now. We're required to kind of analyze each one of these areas and see where we're at. Buffini's message, you've probably seen it on my feed. If you haven't seen his message of, we work by referral, live the good life. So live the good life is something he says, and he says it's a good life. It's not a fabulous life. It's not a great life. It's not a freaking awesome all the time life. It's a good life. And he also mentioned once at a conference that good is used in the Bible more than like any other. Okay, don't quote me on this. It was something, good is used in the Bible, right? God said it was good. And so, and if you don't like the religious talk, well, Buffini is very faith-based, so you might get a little of that. Life is hard, but it's good. And that's really always a core theme in a Buffini conference, is that's how we need to figure out how to work through the hard stuff and live the good life. He said, I think probably one of my favorite quotes I shared in one of my posts while I was there was, what's worse than getting crushed, soul crushing defeat, right? That unthinkable thing that could happen is living under the bar of low expectations. So some of us, how we cope or how we deal with setbacks or obstacles is we lower the bar. We lower expectations. We've been told to lower expectations sometimes from ourselves and other people just so that you don't get hurt. And Buffini said, get your hopes up, because that's the way we live big, right? That's the way we impact others. And so I really liked that, because we hear the message more often than not is, check your expectations because you're going to get hurt. So get your hopes up. In order to bounce back, we need to clearly define our goals. We need to create a plan. We need to develop new routines and surround ourselves with accountability buddies, the like-minded people. And we're going to get into a little bit more like, vocalizing, sharing your goals, because once you share your goals, you're really able to have that accountability around you. Kind of like me saying I'm going to be on live at noon today. I got my notes typed up by 11:45. So get a coach, get accountability buddies, and always a theme. When I was in real estate, one of my bigger mantras, mottos was party my way to the top, party with a purpose, celebrating the wins. We need to celebrate these little things. And I love real estate and I love it for you guys. And I kind of miss that aspect of it, is that you guys have so many small wins, right? When you get that call for a client, when you get, they want to start looking for houses, when you submit an offer, when you get it executed, when the option period ends, the appraisal comes in, these are all chances for you to celebrate and really make it something to really acknowledge the journey, the process, when it's hard, when it's a very hard journey. We have to celebrate the wins. And so Buffini kind of mentioned in all this, what he's really had to do is protect his schedule and really get hard on what he needs to get done and not letting anything interfere with that. And so he said something really quickly, and it was like, I want to talk to people where my passions burn even hotter. And I love that. So it's protecting your energy and being around that energy that feeds you, right? That fills your cup. I want to talk to people where my passions burn even hotter. Then he got into burnout. And I think we can all agree with this. Bouncing back right now, we're having to bounce back because we're burnt out, right? Especially you guys, real estate agents, you have been going nonstop in this complete madness for 2 years. Remember when you guys were having to get booties for the feet, gloves, sanitizer for your open houses, but you were just happy to go do an open house again? Burnout is major. And I think we all may, even if you don't really think you're being burnt out right now, or maybe you don't feel burnt out, there's signs to that. There's signs to this. Now, don't forget, if there's anything that I'm saying that's an aha for you or is resonating with you, please comment it specifically in the comments to be entered into the raffle for a free book. So burnout is the exhaustion of physical or emotional strength or motivation usually as a result of prolonged stress or frustration. Has anybody had prolonged stress or frustration? I know we've all had it, right? And that's burnout. So signs of it can be loss of motivation, a little cynical, a little negative outlook, and reduced performance. I know for me, procrastination. Procrastination is reduced performance, right? I procrastinate when I feel burnt out. I'm just kind of doing things at the last minute or dragging my feet to get stuff done that normally I would be pumped up to do, right? I would be excited to work on these projects, but when you're burnt out, you're just not quite getting there, right? Yes, Dana, celebrate the wins. My mom will tell you, I got into real estate a little bit before my mom did. And she said, I just want to celebrate with you all the time, because she was like, you're just celebrating that it's freaking Tuesday. Now, Tuesdays are my favorite day. But with the goals group now, but that's a big part. And even Brian said his DNA does not celebrate. He goes, my makeup, that is beyond unnatural for Brian to celebrate his wins. His thing is, okay, great, let's move on. Let's do the next thing, the next thing, the next thing. And that's how a lot of us get. And a lot of your transactions really require you to be that way, because there's so much to get done and you just got to get to that next thing. So signs of that, right? And even not celebrating those small wins, it's kind of negative. You want to celebrate, it's positive. And so maybe that's when you get a little negative, you're burnt out, right? You're not celebrating the things that you maybe normally would. So options to, burnout. People that he shared, the people that are not getting burnt out, what are they doing? They are being intentional, hyper intentional, and protective of their schedules and their energy and time. So we always talk about this, but we need to really think about, what does that look like for us? We need to take time off. One of the initiatives that Brian Buffini is doing is talking about time off. He implemented Good Life Friday once a month. They have paid Friday off at Buffini Company. That's major. But it makes me think, do you guys, real estate agents, do you guys schedule a day off? Because I know, even for me, if I have time off, what am I doing? I'm cooking, I'm cleaning, I'm cleaning out a closet, or I'm organizing places that have been, a disaster. Or maybe I'm just working some more on different things when you have time. So really dedicating time off where you can refill your cup. And because we all know the saying, got to put the mask on first before you can help others. You got to fill your cup first before you can help others. My mom, Gina Witcher, there is saying, learn. I did not write that down because actually I'm okay with saying no. But sometimes I say yes and I really shouldn't. So maybe I'm not good at saying no, but I get so excited. So let's talk about that. Some people are, there's the people pleasers, which I know we can all relate to, that it's hard for you to say no. You don't want to disappoint anybody. You find your worth or your purpose in helping others, right? That's why we all got into this. And so saying no is the opposite of that. But when you're saying yes to everything, you're saying no to maybe the really important stuff, right? I think I don't say no because everything excites me. When people bring me something and they want me to help them with it, I want to help, right? Not because I care really, I don't know if I don't think I'm a people pleaser, but I just I'm excited. I'm excited to work on these things and the ideas that come from you guys that I love working on something that actually helps someone else. And so I get excited, but sometimes I have to pause and stop myself and say, if I'm working on this, I can't work on this. And this was my priority. So getting those priorities so front and center is so important. So yes, I'm glad you added that. Say no. It's good. Take time off, celebrate. He repeated again. People that don't get burnt out, they celebrate all of the wins, all of them, and get support. Again, surround yourself with people. He talked a little bit about habits. I'm not going to get into that too much because we all know we need good habits. We got to start small. One quote he said during that piece was, the key to success is emotional stability. Let me say that again. Emotional stability is the key to our success. That's a lot, right? Because we could be stable financially. We could be stable because we're really good at checking the boxes and doing our list. But if we're not stable emotionally, along the way, that is going to hold us back. And so really addressing the emotional side of things, right? What is this mindset? Why do I think this way is really important. Creating a morning routine. Again, we've talked about this before with some agents. I know I have. But what I took away from that is Brian Buffini's morning routine takes 3 hours. He listed everything off he does. And it was like, reading, meditating, breakfast, workout, shower. Like it was everything he does before he goes to a meeting, gets his day started. And so he said, if I have to be someplace at 8, I start at 5. If I have to be someplace at 10, I start at 7. And so knowing the time it takes for that morning routine, I think is important. And I like that you can adjust the time based on that day's schedule, but you still need those maybe 2-3 hours to get it done. Focus on those 1% daily improvements. He really showcased the book Atomic Habits and talked a lot about that cycle of building a habit, identifying the stressor. He uses the example of if every day when I get home and I'm stressed, and when I grew up, my mom made a pot of tea, but you had to have a pot of tea and you had to have a cookie with that pot of tea, and now I'm 20 pounds overweight. So he's like, what is the habit? What is the routine that caused me to grab that cookie that made me 20 pounds overweight? And it's going home maybe right away. It's putting that pot of tea on, which then required the cookie. And he said, so now, I don't even know if he shared this, but he's told us this before at Success Tour or Masterclass, that now instead of just going home with that stress, he goes and drives by the ocean or stops at the ocean, which, yeah, we all don't have the ocean side to go to, but doing something that de-stresses you, identifying what that is. So instead of going maybe into the house after a stressful day or a stressful showings, knowing that you need to sit in your car for a minute, in your driveway, hopefully safely, lock the doors, and maybe listening to a song, maybe taking a couple deep breaths, saying a prayer in those moments that you are being pushed. Maybe you have a after showings prayer, after meeting a client prayer that you have in your car that you can say to yourself before you walk in the door. And then you can dump on your family. We dump on the closest people to us, right? And they can feel that. So I think that's important to really know what's causing these bad habits. What's the cause of it? So think about, he asked us to write down what bad habits have I drifted into? What good habits do I need to initiate? Okay. So that was 2 sessions there. Really quickly, the other ones are kind of short from Brian because really it's a lot of information, but some of that recession proofing your business and finances. Buffini said recessions don't scare him, but inflation do. He mentioned something called stagflation. He said it's even worse. Didn't really get into it, but he said it's worse. And he does think it's about to happen. So not the great, he always jokes around. He's given us the doom and gloom at first and then tries to lift us up. But the inflation is the scary part because it really does. If our economy is not going up in the same rate as inflation is, that's where we really get into trouble. We can't control it though, guys. As many things in our life, we can't control inflation even more so than the other things. It's caused, he said, it's specifically directly caused by government spending and monetary policy. Things we can't change. Things that no matter how much news that we watch, not going to change it. Not going to change anyone's opinion. So just stop watching the news. Buffini's always very adamant about that. Lots of stats on the notes that I share. I put some of the screenshots that I really liked, but 61 people are living paycheck to paycheck. And that's a terrifying number, he said. It's a very sad, somewhat depressing number. He also showed the inflation by numbers year over year. So as of June of 2022, year over year, gas has gone up 59.9%. Energy's gone up 41.6%. Food has gone up 10.4%. And shelter has only gone up 5.6%. So really, our industry is not as bad as the other ones, right, guys? We just don't have any inventory. But it hasn't gone up as, more, because maybe we grew at a really fast rate a couple of years before that. Adults that were 2,000 adults were surveyed, and 58% of them said they feel unfocused, disjointed, and that taking a brief nap wasn't a viable solution. 55% of people said no amount of sleep helps them feel rested. 56% percent of people believe poor sleep schedules have led to low energy. So that, I think that was a slide for the how to bounce back. And that was from sourced by, I'll have to get that. Don't save what is left after spending, but spend what is left after saving. Warren Buffett said that. So what can we do, right? We have no control over inflation or the recession or government spending or monetary policy, but we do have control over our own. Get your house in order, he said. Get your house in order, personally, business-wise, all of the above. Make your business more efficient. He said, real estate agents, we're not the ones that love the paperwork. We don't love the organization of it all. But now is the time that you have to get this organized because, he said, the IRS will use Inflation Reduction Act funding to audit average and lower income taxpayers. And that's from Syracuse University Transactional Records Access Clearinghouse. So Buffini said they're going to have 87,000 auditors. They're hiring. The IRS is hiring right now, everyone. 87,000 more auditors to go after small businesses. So just take that in and use it to motivate you to get your ducks in order, right? So if you get audited, you feel good about it. Make your business more efficient. We understand, getting your systems in place. Stop reinventing the wheel every time you get a listing appointment or a buyer appointment. Get these systems down. Put it on the calendar and schedule it. Get your paperwork in order. Reestablish the value. This is what I love. This is another thing we can do when all the other stuff is going down the hill, right? Reestablish the value of a customer. That's a good one, guys. Be in tune with their trust for you and how they feel. And he said, make this an expression of your brand. I love that. So really talking about the value of a customer, the value of your people to you, making sure they trust you, making sure you're in touch with how they feel when you're telling them the process of getting their loan approved or anything like that. It can be scary to people. So be in tune with that and let that lead your customer service. 70% of buyers' purchasing decisions are based on how they feel. That means only 30% is logical, all right? Which sounds about right. Back to the basics because no one else is doing them. He talked a lot about, he said, have you been out to eat and maybe didn't get the best service? And we just, the night before we had an experience. And I know here in Texas, we see new, tons of hiring signs and they're just barely making it through a shift right now, right? So we try to be patient, we try to be kind, but then there's a whole new generation that they don't even know what good customer service looks like. They don't even know what a good interviewing skills look like. Saying hi, smiling, asking people how they are. It's the basics. So if you focus on the basics of what the core of what you do and how you care, you're going to shine above the rest because not many people are doing it. And he said, as a consumer, just because we've been treated this way, lack of customer service, doesn't mean we're okay with it. Eventually, we're going to be done with it. And that's kind of happening right now because companies with inflation, with the recession, you've got to step up your game, right? So where are the mints on your pillow? Where are those little touches that make you stand out? If you're not standing out, you're blending in. So what are those little, we've talked about transaction milestones, how to make the transaction special. So really thinking about those things that make you stand out above the rest. And if you do that, you're creating advocates. And creating advocates is something we can do. We have control over. He's done these numbers before, but I really loved it this time. He said, because I thought it was like 180, but it's 285 is the average people in someone's sphere. Okay. 285 people in a sphere. So if you have 100 clients, right? Or if you have 100 clients, or let's say you have 50 clients or 60 clients, whatever right now your clients in your database, if you multiply that by 285, which is the average sphere, but we're going to do easy math. Let's say you have 100 clients, 285 people in their sphere. That's 28,500 potential clients of yours. And yeah, some of them drop off. They might know real estate agents. They might be real estate agents eventually one day. But think about those numbers. If we all have 285 people in our sphere and you have X number of clients, those are the low-hanging fruit. Those are the people that you are building your client up to be an advocate, a cheerleader for you that can go out to those people. So keep that number in mind. And then bounce back goals with Brian Buffini. He does goal writing. He's very proud of this. And sorry, my curls messed up. He's very proud of this, that he has done goal writing with just thousands and thousands of people because he does them at these events. And that's what a lot of self-help and personal development people and speakers, they missed out on. And even the old ones, I think it's Jim Rohn told Brian, like, that's one of his regrets, is that I never actually had them write their goals with me. I talked about it, but putting it to action. And so that's one of my favorite parts at a Buffini conference, is actually writing your goals right then. He turns on music. If you come to one of my classes, I try to recreate that. But then it's like, there's so much I have to teach. It's like, not enough time. But he does it. It's always very impactful. But a couple things: benefits to having goals: allow you to dream, cause you to stretch, bring focus to your day, week, month, and year, bring clarity to your decision making, and foster a great sense of life's purpose. And then he said, it's a sense. Your life's purpose is a sense. Purpose is not a destination. It's a feel. I mean, in what sense? It's a feeling that you have, an instinctual gut feeling. And so you've got to practice that. You've got to create that for yourself, right? I wrote really big in my book, get in the game. So I don't quite know what he was saying, but I think it was, the world needs us right now. The world needs good leaders. So get your head in the game. There's 1,301 weeks in 25 years. He did this marble demonstration where he's just playing with marbles in a jar. There's 1,300 of them in there, and one for the leap year. And he's just messing with them, and they're flying everywhere. And he's talking about, don't lose your marbles, invest your marbles. Each one of those marbles was a week. And he gave us some stats about how much time we spend on social media and TV and different things like that. And he said, if you just cut that down, that 1% improvement, that could be weeks of your life. I think the average is 4 hours. It was 2 hours a day on social media and 4 hours a day on TV. So all you'd think that social media is the worst time killer, TV's been around a lot longer, and it was your generation that started that. So TV and social media, if you took those away, just watch just an hour less, it can add up to weeks in your life. So small improvements. Replace it with something else. Write your goals. 42% of people, there's 42% more likely to reach your goals if you write them down. Any movement in one of those circles, spiritual, financial, personal, business, and family, any movement, improvement in one of those circles improves the other circles. I guess you could say improvement or not improvement, right? Because you could go downhill and that affects all the circles. So think about that. This is a ripple effect of the circles in your life that you want to improve. Tiny gains, guys. So here's this. 1% improvement a week is 38 improvements in a year. And ask yourself, can your business benefit from a 38% improvement this year? And it just takes those tiny little differences, right? Yeah. 38%. Make 10-day goals once a month. Make 10-month goals once a year. 10-day goals once a month. 10-day goals allow you to start on something so that you can build momentum. Bucket list goals. Where do I want to go? What do I want to do? And what do I want to achieve? This session was right before Ben Nementon's session, which was all about the bucket list journal. So I'm going to tell you guys about that. Okay, so I've got three more. Bounce back. So how champions bounce back with Apollo owner. Those were Buffini sessions. They were incredible. He was on fire, guys. In the past, he's been on fire, kind of in a more political, kind of tired of the mask, tired of my conferences getting canceled, tired of all just the political and society unrest, right? And he's funny. So it was funny, but it had that kind of tone. This weekend or whenever I was just in California, he was on fire. He was funny in a genuine, just amazingly authentic way. It was really, really awesome. So his sessions were better than ever. But Apollo Ono, right? I'm not a sporty person. I don't really watch the Olympics, but when I go to these conferences, I get to hear these speakers, and then I'm like, a mega fan. So his story, if you don't know, like I didn't know, he's an 8-time Olympic medalist and most decorated U.S. Winter Olympian in history. Can someone just comment Apollo Ono so I know the mark of when this is in the video? And I'm going to make marks. Someone do that for me, hopefully. 8-time Olympic medalist and most decorated U.S. Olympian in history. The story that was big, I guess, in the 2022 Olympics. Oh no, I wrote down a note and now I'm like, I don't think that's right. That's definitely not right, actually. But he won a silver in this. He was doing the trials. He was one of the finalists, and he won silver. So second place. There were 6 people in these races. And this is when they speed around really fast on skates, like really fast, like low to the ground. And 5 out of 6 of them fell. One fell. They all fell, and Apollo was one of them. And it was him and a couple other guys that were just sure things. I think he was the sure thing to win this race. Retired in 2010. Okay, that's good to know. But this fall, find out when the fall happened. The fall was major. So 5 out of 6 of these guys fall down. And the last guy that was way behind them comes up and wins because he didn't fall. And he just was kind of like, he crossed the finish line by accident. He's probably going so fast. And he was from Australia. It was the Southern Hemisphere's first Winter Olympic win that he won first place. And so it was a big deal for him. He retired the next day. The Australian retired the next day. But Apollo was devastated. He said, he dealt with being perfect, which I know a lot of people can relate to. And he had his dad as his coach, and his dad was, had to be perfect. And so when he was devastated and he got up because they're kind of in shock. And when, I think Derek Jones asked him, what was going through your mind when you got up? And he said, honestly, it was instinctual. It was an instinct because he trained so much, right? You fall, you get up, or you're practicing, you just got to finish, right? You don't really think about it. Those are the kind of habits we need. And so he said, it was instinctual that I got up. And afterwards, I just was like, this sucks. But the interviewers, when they started, they start interviewing him, they were just impressed and they admired. They said, how did you do it? That was such an incredible ending. And what you did was so incredible. And he was like, what? And so the way the world saw it was, you got back up, you fell, you got knocked down, and it was devastating for you. You didn't just win and you thought you were going to win, and you got back up. And that was the story they walked away with. That was the story his dad was proud of, which was really incredible. And so that was the story, he started with. And it's like, life's not fair. So Apollo Ono wrote a book called Hard Pivot, which I think is pretty perfect for, the last 5 years of our life. Life is unfair and fair at the same time, right? It can be a good life, it can be a sucky life, all at the same time. When you're creating, he talked a little bit about creating the goals. He threw out the gas method and the spring method, or gas principle and the spring method. And a lot of the stuff he talked about, mesocycles, a lot of the things were all sport references, training your body references. But they've discovered a lot of these references on how our body bounces back, how our body physically recovers. The principles are the same to us mentally and emotionally. So when you're creating the micro goals and developing your mesocycle, which mesocycles are 4 to 6 week blocks within a macro cycle, and it's typical that within a 4-week block, the first 3 weeks, you're overloading it, you're working hard, you're hustling out there, you're showing 1,000,001 houses. But then that 4th week focuses on recovery. Right? That's what we've been saying this whole time, right? And he said, when you're creating those, one of the most important things, so before you get started, before you go into hustle mode, one of the most important things to do is identify how you, not anyone else, how your body, how your mind rests and recovers. So before you get started, how am I going to rest after I do this? That's major. And that's a really big point, I think, to be made of how do we set ourselves up for success? 5 golden principles that he mentioned, he ran through really fast. I think they might be in his book. Gratitude must be practiced. Presentness, be present. Giving. And I liked this one. Giving to your sphere community, right? We all know that. Give, 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 give. But also to yourself. Give yourself the best possible chance of the opportunity for success. Give yourself your authentic self, your true north, he said. So I really loved that. We give everyone else, give to yourself. Grit, the hungry for improvement, and you want more after that. Perseverance, right? Gearing up for expectations. He said, set the world on fire in a healthy way. Be hyper ready, clear on your goals, and consistent in your training. Set the new baseline for yourself. And then the last one, so it was gratitude, giving, grit, gearing up expectations, and then go and learn it. Take action to radically transform and make things happen, right? And he said, when you set goals, he talked about, I guess this in his book, he said 0 regrets, maybe it's a chapter or something. But when you set goals, have a mindset of 0 regrets. And aim to achieve goals that are beyond what you thought was possible. So just go for it. We're going to talk about that again at the end with the bucket list. When you execute the work, he said, surrender to the outcome and then learn and yearn from experience and grow. Right? So surrender to all the things that are against you. Surrender to the multiple offers. Surrender to the low inventory. Surrender to just all the things that are just causing it to be so hard for your sellers and buyers right now. And once you surrender to that, you're just going to learn from it. You're just learning and you're getting better. And then you're improving your contracts and you're improving your negotiations and all the process. And so I really, really liked that. So one of the questions about at this point, I was writing my own question of, when you, let's say for a high achiever, you might hit your goals quickly, like quicker than you expected, right? It's a very amazing thing to meet your, financial goal earlier than expected, or your transaction goal earlier than expected, your sales goal. But then something maybe not good happens. And I've experienced this when you achieve something you never thought to begin with, and it keeps happening and it's growing, you get into this little bit of a growing too fast, right? Or maybe in the achievements, they're happening at such a fast rate, you lose that motivation, you lose that edge because it's maybe coming easier, right? That's a good thing, right? But then also maybe not. And so I was thinking, what do high achievers, when they accomplish their goals, how do you stay motivated? How do you stay focused? How do you continue to grow when you're kind of maxing that out, or doing it at a faster pace than expected? And he said it. He addressed it right when I was writing that question. He addressed it. He goes, then you say after a race like that or winning 8 medals, he said, what now? I said, yes, what now? And he said, what we need, what the core of it, what he said was, you have to take time to reset, and recalibrate, no matter if you miss the target or you achieve the goal. So every time there's a failure, reset and recalibrate in order to grow. Whether you made the goal, reset and recalibrate in order to do better. And maybe that looks like at the end of a transaction and you get feedback from your clients and you ask them, how can I improve? What part of the process was just not fun for you? Take that information in so you can reset and recalibrate and get better at what you do, right? And then this was my favorite part of his. He talked about identity, because when you're a high achiever or you've won all these goals or you're meeting your sales goals faster than expected, the idea of who we are, how we think of ourselves, is in that goal we achieved. Sometimes we think we are our accomplishments, right? We're our failures, but we're also what we did right. So we get tied sometimes too closely to that achievement. I'm just someone that did this, right? You know, so when your identity changes, you're at a phase in life where that needs to change. A lot of you guys I know on here are moms. So when you go from having babies at home and kids in your house and now they're gone, you look at yourself and like, okay, now what? Same situation, different same thought, same problem, different situation. So when your identity changes and the idea of who you are is what you achieved, think about the attributes that got you there and then start building other facets. And then he made the diamond reference, which Buffini talks about acres of diamonds. So I kind of liked that. But like a diamond, there are many facets. And there's facets of you that aren't polished yet, that you haven't even given them a little shine or a sparkle, but they're there. And the same thing that can make that attribute of yours shine is the same attribute that maybe got you to the finish line or to achieving those goals. So I really liked that because it really makes you think about something because achieving your goals is positive, right? And being great at something is a positive thing. Winning medals is a positive thing. But we can feel negative about it because we're like, okay, well, now what do I do with that? And we need to reset, recalibrate, look at what got us there, the skills, the gifts, the attributes, and then apply those to something else that we're also really good at, or that we're also passionate about, or that we also want to, that piques our interest, that energizes us, and then polish that area too. So I really, really liked that. When you're feeling lost or questioning everything in the world about yourself, why am I doing this? What am I thinking? Why are we all here? He said, you need to ask yourself these 4 pillar questions. And I think it's also in his book. I thought these were going to be deep questions. No, guys, if we're feeling lost and questioning our own existence and life, he said, you need to ask yourself, how am I sleeping? How am I eating? How am I moving? And how am I thinking? And you know what? Usually it does come down when you improve those things, usually that hopeless feeling does improve, right? He said take a step up into the metaphoric balcony. Take a look at the bigger picture of your life, which I like. Sometimes we have to step back in order to reset, recalibrate, and really think about, what am I doing and what do I want to be doing? He said, there's one world, one life, one chance, and it's your choice. This made me think, this whole talk, you guys may have heard me talk about this podcast before, but it made me think of the Brian Buffini podcast, The Rest Run Cycle. This has been one of my all-time favorites for a while. It's number 33. So it's an old one. And I'm going to have the link to that in my notes. But it talks about you got to rest before you run. And that is really that message there. Okay. Now we've got, 47 minutes. We're not going to be much longer. I figured it would be about an hour. I probably should have told you guys that at the beginning. So don't forget, if there's something that you really have enjoyed hearing, something that was your aha or takeaway from me sharing my notes, comment below your aha, and you'll be entered into a drawing for me giving away one of the books that was one of the speaker's books. So Captain Charlie Plum. Let's someone tag Captain Charlie Plum. And his session was called the Captain Comeback. Oh, I didn't bring my water in here. Good job, Gina. Okay, so his story, and I've actually heard another inspirational speaker speak about this story, and it was a big part of his speech, was about packing parachutes. Not sure if you've heard that before, but his story was a former fighter pilot and a 6-year prisoner of war. And I think a lot of us, we hear prisoner of war, but we maybe kind of shut down after that because we don't really want to know what that means, right? We don't really want to imagine that situation because it's just too much. And so his story is he got shot down. He was Top Gun. He was Maverick, right? Apparently. Haven't seen those movies. I'm waiting till they come out and I'm going to watch them all. But he was Top Gun. He was in the Vietnam War, got shut down, came out of his plane, had his parachute on, pulled his parachute, lands in, I guess, rice fields, and gets captured right away. There was 250 prisoner of wars while he was there in his time there in 6 years. One of them being John McCain, right? And I kind of remember that John McCain has that military background and different things like that. But no, he was right here with Charlie Plum being just horrific things. Tortured, beaten, no food, welts on their body. I forgot the reason why they had welts on their body. Horrible, all alone in an 8x8 cell. And to kind of paint the picture, the way Charlie came out, it was pitch dark, which is not normal at a Buffini conference. And there was just a light on the ground and it's pitch dark. And you hear him walking one, 2, 3 paces. 1, 2, 3 paces. And that was the amount of steps it took for him to pace his 8x8 cell. He did that for a while, and it was very like moving, right? And now we have a picture of what that was like. And he said somehow these prisoners of wars actually had a way of, they put a wire through a wall, through rat holes, through rooms. They communicated with each other with Morse code of this wire tapping. So he got a piece of toilet paper. The guy sent it through the hole to him. Charlie, when he first got there, that guy had been there for 2 years already. He made a little diagram of his, hieroglyphics. What do you call it? A code. And he said, memorize this and then eat the toilet paper. And that's what he did. That's what they all did. And I don't know how they had these conversations. One guy committed to memory all of their names, social security numbers, families, so that if he got out, he could go talk to the families and let them know that they're still alive. I mean, I'm getting goosebumps again. It was a lot. But he didn't even want to talk. He didn't even want to communicate for a second because he was so in such a dark place sitting in there. And the guy said, oh, you have prisoner thinking. And he says, if you think you're a prisoner, you are a prisoner, right? You're thinking like you're a prisoner. But he's like, the moral of that story, and it was referenced a couple times, is you're not a prisoner in an 8x8 cell. You're a prisoner between the 8 inches in your head, between your ears, your brain. And that's our real prison, right? And so it's all a mental game. And it's a decision between success and failure, the way we're going to respond to things, the way we're going to look at things. That mental game is our, success or failure. What do you have in your emotional, mental, physical toolbox to get you through this? What do you have to get you through this? And what about the next guy? You need those things in your toolbox to get you through it, but then you use those things to get someone else through it, like the guy next to him did, right? So the parachute packing story is, and he asked the questions. So he was years later, right? I don't even know how many years later. I want to say in more recent times, he was at a restaurant and someone came up to him and said, are you Captain Charlie Plum? He said, yes. And he said, and you were on the blah, blah, blah war boat, whatever plane. And the guy goes, and he's like, yes, how do you know this about me? And he's like, well, I was the military person. I don't know what rank that was I packed your parachute. He knew he had Charlie Plum's parachute and he packed it for him. And I mean, that's moving in itself, right? Like that guy that never thought he would see Charlie Plum again. I don't even know if Charlie Plum thanked in his mind the person that packed his parachute, right? Sometimes we don't think about packing the Navy. So the Navy guy, lower ranks, packing parachutes. And I mean, how grateful must have Charlie Plum felt in that moment, right? The thing that saved his life, but also put him, maybe he wanted to die at some point, right? Maybe he wished his parachute didn't work. Who knows? But the parachute analogy is, do you know all the parachutes that you've packed? Do you know, and I've heard other speakers at Buffini events, the Hero Nation, or Kevin Brown does talk about being a hero. It's also a podcast, Kevin Brown. But it's like you've been a hero to people, and it's not what you think being a hero. It's not what you think packing people's parachutes. It's those little moments. So do you know all the parachutes you've packed? How is your parachute packing coming along? Are you being there for the people that are important to you? Are you serving them well? Are you caring for them well? And how is your parachute being packed? Do you have that support system? Do you have those people that fill your cup? Because we all need them, right? So that's a big analogy. And he said, he had his coaches and he was relating the stories he's learning in a prisoner cell, to the stories of when he was younger on a team, when his basketball team, I think, sucked. And the coach was like, and they're apologizing for being losers, right? But he said, and I've heard this quote before, I don't think his coach is the only one that said it, but whether you think you're a winner or a loser, you're right, right? They were packing his parachute. They were giving him these little nuggets, right? Planting the mustard seeds. And he said, they were also teaching me when it's about failure and being a loser and being in a tough situation, it's about being empowered to fail. Knowing it's okay to fail. And a lot of us that deal with perfectionism and fear of the unknown, we don't want to fail. That's the worst thing possible, right? But be empowered to fail. There's somebody on YouTube that he got 100 no's. He said, I was going to get 100 no's. I'm going to go out there. I need 100 no's for me to get that one yes. So he was going after the no's because he knew if I got 100 no's, I'm eventually going to get a yes. Same thing, be empowered to fail. And what you're worth, your value shows up when things are tough. And I liked that a lot too. We think about our value in very ideal situations, right? Positive. When we're helping our clients, our value. When your family, your value to your family. So when things get tough, that's when your true value shows up. I'm going to have to yell at my dog. Rue, go lay down. Go lay down. She's a needy one, so I have to say that or she won't stop. Okay, so what are you worth? Your values show up when things are tough. And then he goes, you guys might not agree with this, but getting blown out of the sky can actually be good for you. So if you think about what he went through and what he did, the unimaginable, right? We don't even want to think about what a prisoner of war goes through. We don't want to even have those images in our heads to go to bed at night, right? And he's saying, getting blown out of the sky can actually be good for you. And there's value in pain. And he said, adversity is a horrible thing to waste. And that really just turns the script, right? There's value in pain, and adversity is a horrible thing to waste. Really, really loves that. And if he can believe that, guys, he also did say that military people, there was a rate of people that were prisoners of wars in that camp after they were studied by psychologists. There was a statistic that their PTSD, the rate they had PTSD was much lower than normal military soldiers. There's 30.6% of military men and women that come back from war, 30.6% have PTSD. There was only 4% of the prisoners of war have PTSD. And because there's another thing you got to do when you're in a cell by yourself, right? And you have to overcome those things. It's in your mind. And so their mind came out of these cells as fit as you could ever need your mind to be, right? And so that's pretty major as well. And when you blame others, you're giving away the control of your life. We are warriors, not victims. We are not victims of recession or inflation or of, debt or, just the society right now. All these things that are just so crazy. We can't believe what's happening. We're warriors. We can do this. We can get through this. We can focus on the things we can change, right? So you cannot blame the circumstances, people or things. You have to make the choice to keep going. And we've all heard that before. You can do, and this is a testament that you can do anything that you set your mind to. And that reminded me of Buffini's podcast, another one of my old favorites, The Power of a Made Up Mind. Doesn't really talk about struggles or obstacles, but it talks about that moment when you make up your mind and you get it done, which is really major. So super moving, prisoner of war, incredible. And then the next day we get Bob Beaudine. And we had just heard Bob Beaudine at Masterclass. So we were like, I hope it's not the same presentation. Started off the same, but I learned, I did not know this because I guess I wasn't his feed. I don't see his posts, but his grandson that was less than 2 years old drowned in July and passed away. And you're like, whoa. And he's coming here to give us a presentation. He did. And so that was major. And we're like, oh my God, what is he going to say? How's he going to say it? And just like, is he going to make it through this? Like, presentation. And apparently Buffini told us later that he actually lost his notes from this presentation, lost them was discombobulated apparently before going on, but was like, you know what, I'll just go on. He already knew his presentation because it was pretty identical to when he was at masterclass. But then he shared from the heart, and he started sharing things about what his family went to, the faith required and needed, and how they locked arms and huddled together and prayed for each other and prayed for the other people. It was 7 days this little baby fought for his life. And yes, this is emotional, but we all were bawling, so I'm sorry if you're going to bawl too. He had a video of what they do in the hospital when a baby isn't going to make it, and his organs. So the way his family looked at this is, Bo was able to go meet his grandma that had never met. The youngest grandkid, grandma had 25 grandkids, never got to meet. She got to meet Bo first. I mean, that alone, tears, right? And then he said, yes, Bo went to heaven, but he was able to save 4 lives with his liver, kidneys, and heart. And so they walked him through the hospital. You see his family kissing him. Woo! It was a lot. And so just hearing those stories sometimes is impactful, right? But Buffini told us after the next session that he has never seen. Bob came out of there and just started bawling. And he said, I don't know what it was inside of me that was broken, that was still broken, but it just got healed. And he said the audience's reaction, the audience's response, the energy in the room. Oh, there's Jennifer. She was there. There was Kathy. She was there. Share your ahas. I'm almost done. I'm about an hour in. I'm at Bob Bodine's, and then I've just got Ben's to talk about, and I'm done. Share your ahas from Mastermind, 2 ladies that were there. But his story was just very, very impactful. So I don't have a lot of notes on it, but he said he was healed from just that energy in the room. So if you think conferences are all rah, drink the Kool-Aid, silly fluff, they're not. They do something to you. They do something to you that sticks with you, that being part of a room that's all experiencing something together that's meaningful and impactful and life-changing, it does something to you. So yeah, I'm a little emotional because I just had to tell the story about baby Bo. So, his message normally is about your energy, your love, and your response to things. And your energy and your love and your response to things is what people need right now in the world. They need that energy. They need that kind of all-in love, being your best self, and choosing, how you're going to respond to obstacles. It's kind of the gist of his original talk. So it's like love the people in your life, live your life to the best, and all that type of good stuff. But the quote that kind of stood out when he was telling the story about baby Bo that I thought was something that we can all take away is, when things aren't good, God is not done. And that's such a simple statement for, God's with you, God's walking with you. He's not finished with your story yet. Or, he won't give you what you can't handle, which he does, but he wants you to lean into him. But when things aren't good, when we're going through the times, God is not done. So that was that. He has 2 books, 2 Chairs, and The Power of Who. Very, very good books. Very, very good. And Captain Charlie Plum actually has a book too. It's actually a book someone wrote listening to his story. So kind of like a memoir written by someone else. And it's called I'm No Hero. And it's very expensive on Amazon. I was kind of shocked. Guess it's not readily available. So that was a short presentation. And then the last one was Ben Nemtin, the Bounce Back Bucket List. And the Bounce Back, and that was, of course, how do we bounce back? So he applied his story. And he is a #1 New York Times bestseller, selling author and co-founder of The Buried Life. I need to go see if this is on Netflix or Hulu. I feel like I've seen this documentary, but it was in 2006. 3 of his friends, just came out of depression. So he told his story about being depressed, losing his scholarship, coming out of school. He sees some old friends from high school, and he knew they liked making movies. He's like, let's make a movie together. So there's 4 of them, super emo, super 2006, vibe. And they bought a van, they bought a camera, and they made up this list of 100 bucket list items. And they started doing them. And what very quickly began to happen is them doing their bucket list items and sharing this story. People came along to help them to achieve these. Hey, you want a bull ride? I've got a bull ranch. And then they also started getting a flood of other people's I can't believe I left my water out there. They got a flood of other people's bucket list items. And they started helping other people. They helped um, friends of a girl that was born without her arm to here or so. She wanted a bionic arm. So they were going to raise money, and that was their bucket list. And these guys came and worked with the company and got her an arm. And guess how moving that story was? And that those images and pictures of her getting her arm and crying and hugging these guys. So they just wanted to do something for themselves. It turned into this bigger thing. They've impacted that you, and the things were far-fetched. One of them was teach a kindergarten class, play basketball with the President Obama. They did these things somehow because they didn't give up. And they said it proved that anyone can literally do anything if you're persistent, if you're, consistent. And the question behind the buried life. So the buried life are there's these things inside of us that we want to accomplish, we want to get done, but we bury them. The bucket list gets put on the back burner. The big goals get put on the back burner and we forget about them. They get buried with the rest of life. And so the question they asked while they did this whole thing was, what do you want to do before you die? And pretend that you could do anything and you had all the money in the world. And that's how they made their list. What do you want to do before you die? And really get clear on those things. And my favorite quote from him or piece of the presentation was, by doing what you love, you inspire others to do what they love. And it's this ripple effect that continues to impact others. And I love that, right? Because sometimes we feel guilty, like if you just really love doing something, but then you think, my love for this could inspire someone else's love for their favorite thing, right? And when we get people say like, oh yeah, you inspire, I saw you working out the other day, so you inspired me to work out too. All those little things that we share on social media and with each other, they get a lot of crap, right? Oh, you shared your food, you shared your workout, you shared this. But it inspires others to maybe juice, right? When I showed my juicing, everyone wanted me to juice, or maybe it inspired them. I had a friend get out her juicer because she said, yeah, I had one, I never used it. You inspire people in these small ways and you just don't even know how, right? It's those tiny little seeds. So he kind of gives you the bullet points of the 5 steps to make the impossible possible. Write your goals down. Buffini already told us that 42% of people, or they're 42% more likely to be accomplished if you write it down. Share your goals. And I think that's a big one because we don't share our goals. Maybe we feel they're too personal. Why am I going to put them out there? But I know, guys, when I put out that I'm going to do something to you guys on the World Wide Web, I actually do it. For whatever reason, I don't even go check if you care. But just because I put that out there in the universe in a very public way, I do it. So it works. Share your goals with the most supportive people. And he said people are more supportive than we give them credit for. They really are. Be the unstoppable. How to make your goals possible. Be unstoppable. Take as many no's as it takes to get your yes. Moonshots. I liked that term. So the big dream stuff, right? Shoot for the moon. The moonshots. You don't know what's possible until you do it. And then give. Happiness is only real when it's shared. I don't really know if that went with the give part of it. We all know giving is good. We talked about that earlier. But I like when he said happiness is only real when it's shared. And that's actually a quote from Into the Wild. He said, prioritize your personal passions. It's important to yourself, to the others, to your sphere, to your business, and to your legacy that you prioritize, you put yourself first. Again, a very common theme on how to bounce back. You've got to prioritize these personal passions. And then he said, he kind of gave us a few points on why people don't achieve their goals. It's because they don't have a deadline. They don't have the accountability, and they're waiting for the inspiration. And I liked that because we've seen quotes like that too, right? Go work out whether you're motivated or not. That's going to give you that motivation and that momentum. He said, find inspiration through action. And you guys know how I like my action trackers. I believe in the working by referral system. We say activity breeds activity. Find inspiration through the actions. Just start on something that means something to you and see where it goes. And he asked the question too that I liked. Imagine asking your 90-year-old self, Are you happy with what I'm doing right now? Wherever you are in life right now, ask your older, wiser deathbed self, are you happy with what you're doing right now? I thought that was big. And so, and because there was research, he shared the research done at, I want to say, shoot, I don't know the university, but there was a big research project done on people on their deathbed. And of course, you've heard the quote, people on their deathbed, they don't have regrets on things they did. Oh yeah, I said something I shouldn't have. I did something I should have had. I made a mistake. I blew it. I went into whatever. They're more regretful on the things they didn't do. So that's the truth. 70%. And then another thing they said, when they said, what was your biggest regret? 76% of them said, not living my life for me, living it for maybe your kids, for your job, for the people around you, for the things you're supposed to do, right? For the things you feel like you're supposed to be doing, not living your life for you. And just because you're living your life for you, that doesn't mean it's selfish. It means you're caring about yourself, you're loving yourself enough so that you can go make that impact on other people. So I really, really like how it ended with that. We went into our goals. He talked about his book, which I also have the link for that in my notes that I can share on that. And I got my journal. I ordered it while I was sitting right there, and it came the next day. Love how this is set up in the bucket list journal. And so, guys, go ahead and do your last thoughts. Jennifer shared some things. Jennifer was there with us. Apollo owner is super hot now, everybody. I should have read that before I read this. So we should all keep our headshots updated. That was a very valuable lesson. You know, Apollo Ono in our little book, we were like, okay, I kind of remember who that guy was. He had the goatee that made him memorable. But then the Apollo Ono that came out on stage was quite different. Even Buffini said, I think something in the backstage, like, I'll have you on my podcast show as long as I can run my fingers through your hair. He was just very well put together. He grew up into his man body. Very good. And yes, Jennifer, she said, one world, one life, one chance, your choice. We can change how things happen to us by how we react. A lot of it is in our head. Yes. Love that. Go ahead and share the 6 people that are still on. I guess you don't have to be on to win. And share last minute thoughts. What did you like the most about everything we just shared? I talked to you about how to bounce back with Brian Buffini. He's talking about burnout, habits, clearly defining things, getting really clear and getting really fit in all the areas of our life for ourselves and for the people around us. I talked about recession proofing your business and your finances, recession, inflation, all that mumbo jumbo. Average sphere is 285 people. So you have people and your people have people. Bounce back goals, how to write your goals, how to really think about and the benefits of it, allowing you to dream, allowing you to stretch, bring focus to your day, clarity to your decision making, and foster a greater sense of life's purpose. Sense. It's not a destination. Loved that. And then we talked about Captain Charlie Plum, that horrific, prisoner of war, but packing your parachute and not wasting adversity, and there's value in pain. I think that was a good one for me. Apollo Ono, I loved the identity. Your identity, who you are is not who you're going to be, guys. We are all still growing. We're still learning things. We're still messing up. We're still doing great things. We're still doing really, messing everything up along the way. We're not done. Don't get too stuck on who you think you're supposed to be, and just think about when you're at your best, when you are most energized, when you are most passionate, what are you doing? And what are the things that you're doing that you can apply to other areas of your life to shine those other diamond facets in your life? Love that. And then the bucket list, again, like I said, I'm super excited to do this, to really think about this and have one place for it, honestly, because I always have them in my head, but sometimes I always say that's on my bucket list. That's on my bucket list. And then I don't really remember all of them. All I remember is I want to go look for me and Memphis want to go look for Bigfoot in the Pacific Northwest. And I want to see Aurora Borealis. Don't know where, don't know when, but I want to go see Aurora Borealis. And our newest goal is living in California next summer as our first step to what our life could look like in the future, right? So those are some recent goals, old goals, things that I really, really want to do. And the book is just set up kind of uniquely to get those done and get the accountability buddies for them. And he also tells you to think about when you're making your bucket list, we go to travel, which was what my 3 were just now, besides Bigfoot. But he talks about the different areas of bucket list. So go ahead and keep sharing what you guys liked. And Ashley's going to get all those names, all your names. We're going to put them into a little drawing. But I wanted to share with you the different sections. So there's 10 sections for your bucket list. He said travel and adventure, physical health, material, creative, professional, financial, intellectual, mental health, relationships, and giving. So that's all in the book, kind of maps it out for you. So share your aha. So 1% make the difference, morning routine and timing, celebrate the small wins. Oh, Brandon, I loved how you speak about celebrating yourself, something I personally always celebrate myself and encourage everyone to do so. You know, some of us are just built a little differently and we just love some me. I just love some me, right? Brandon loves some him. So, but it's not easy for everybody. And it's just as hard really, you know, thinking you're the best, because you got to balance that, you know, not to be, there's a fine line, cocky and humble, you know, we need to work on that. So favorite, reset and recalibrate in order to do better. That really was my favorite thing too. So we're going to add all your little names, maybe a couple of times. Ashley, don't overthink it. Because I know people repeated some stuff. And I know there was only a couple of people that actually did it. We'll see what I actually give away. But I want to do this little exercise because this is fun. And it's something, actually, it's a tip for you guys. It's called wheelofnames.com. So if you're doing a raffle, there's also Riffle Raffle is an app that I've used in the past, but I didn't want to have to do all that mess. And also I'm on my phone. And so there's this wheel of names that you just plug in the names really, really quickly. So let's say you're at an event, keep the names in your notes in your phone, plug them in here, and it automatically does a spinning thing. And my mom just said that she, you know, we don't have to put her name in. But maybe you want the journal. What is the wheel spinner for? How to use it? Is my data private? And then can the wheel be rigged? And it says no, there's no way the wheel can be rigged. Okay. When you click the wheel, it accelerates for exactly 1 second, and then it's set to a random rotation. And finally, it decelerates to stop. Whatever. It's not rigged. So I'm going to put your guys' names in the wheel. And I'm really grateful for those of you. Tell me who's been on this entire time, an hour and how many minutes this was. I was hoping I could make it an hour. Who was on the entire time or close to the entire time? Anyone? Me? Oh, my mom was. Oh, good. And Brandon was. My two biggest fan clubs. Thank you guys. I appreciate it. I think Dana and Leslie were on too. I think so. I mean, honestly, I want to do this little winner thing, but I also just want to kind of Dana, you know what? Who's still on? We're going to do the thing, but Dana, Leslie. Okay, so I'm going to show you guys. Let's see if you can see my screen. So you see this, and you see I'm adding names. Let's just do it for fun. Leslie. So Dana, you shared a lot. Oh, wait, Ashley's going to do it. She just sent it to me. So Ashley sent me everyone that did something in the, my internet's just moving really slow, probably because I'm on, oh, wow. So this is what, oh, wow, you guys did comment a lot. So I said your names would be put in there more than once, copy for all your engagement. So boom. So you see how I took all those names and I just pasted them in here, and now they're on the wheel. Ta-da! Okay, so it's called Wheel of Names. I don't know why I'm advertising this site. So are you ready for me to click? I feel like I'm in Vegas. All right, click to spin, and you can do this on your phone too. They need music. Woo! Oh, oh, Dana! Oh, and it does a little celebration. Congratulations, Dana. You were on, and you told me yesterday you were going to be on the universe. Yeah, Leslie, I'm like, I don't even know what site this is, but I'm telling everyone about it. And it's not a great site, but it does the job. So everybody that participated, engaged, thank you for being here. Thank you, Mom and Jennifer, who was also there, adding the little bits that they took away as well. Congratulations, Dana. And I'm going to, like I said, I'm posting this on Instagram. Didn't think I was going to get a whole lot of views on here because I never go live on Instagram or do videos like this. But I also recorded it on YouTube. So I'm going to post that video link out there. I'm going to also post the link to my notes. So if you want my notes, you can request those. And so you can have your own little bits to remember and to review, because I know I did talk fast, even though I went for an hour and 20. No, it was more like an hour and 10 minutes. That's not that bad. That's like a class. And so I'm going to be posting all that. I'll post the link. If you think anyone else might want to hear this, share this. Listen to it in the background while they're walking. They can have that YouTube link, because like every Brian Buffini event, there's so much content. There's so much good stuff, obviously, right? I just condensed it down, but it's such an incredible experience. And I just want everyone to be able to go and do it. It's not necessarily the cheapest thing ever, but it's definitely worth it. And the presenters are always, so it's not just real estate, it's life. That's what I tell people when they ask about Brian Buffini and the coaching program. And it's not just real estate for real estate people. His conferences are good for any business owner. And these people bring their kids and their teenagers. And I'm like, damn, I wish I was at a Buffini conference when I was 16. That could have changed the course of my life. But we'll just be grateful for now, right? But it's very impactful. So if you do have the opportunity to go, make it happen. Start saving your pennies now. There's always tickets that become available closer to the date if you're not able to buy it right now. But just be thinking about that. Put the word out when it gets closer. It's going to be August 9th and 10th next year in San Diego. 2023, August 9th and 10th. Registration's not over yet, but inside my notes, I also have links to my Amazon book list of all these people. And I also have links to the Brian Buffini Mastermind event page and different things like that. And some free resources on the Buffini website, just kind of promoting their website there for them. And that's really all I got for you. I really need some water, quite parched, did not bring it in here with me. So I appreciate you guys a lot. I hope that it was worth it to listen and to see and to hear what a Brian Buffini conference is all about. Hopefully I didn't make anyone cry, but if you did, good, because we were all bawling and then we had to like leave for lunch and we're all looking at each other like, I don't even know what to say right now. So that was kind of funny, but I appreciate it. Thank you for listening. Let us know if you need anything at all. Always here to talk Buffini. I'm always here to talk. If you need a coach, if you're thinking about getting a Brian Buffini coach, please reach out to me. They want referrals as well. So please, 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 I'm going to do better at that. And if you ever want to know about getting into it, it's a 5-step program. No, just joking, to drink the Kool-Aid. But you can get into the Buffini world by listening to the podcast. That's free. By signing up for their database, not expensive if you need a database. By signing up for their membership that sends you a turnkey box every single month for your marketing. It goes with the database, your emails to send out. And then there's just different things that you can sign up for, a coaching group or a small group, a mastermind group. And there's different conferences throughout the year that are different sizes. So let me know if you have any questions. I do not work for Brian Buffini and Company, but I do love it. And I love you guys. And I hope you guys have a great weekend and a rest of 2023. Next week too, shout out is I have my Working by Referral class, which I'm going to take some of this content and put it into that class. So if you know of anybody that's new to real estate, please send them to my class, Working by Referral. I'm going to revamp it and launch it again next year. In a little bit of a different way, but it's a great class for new agents or agents that are just floating out there, not quite knowing what they're doing, or agents that maybe needed a little pep in their step now. I've been doing this a while. So we have our fall pop by class next week, and we have our working by referral class next week. So be on the lookout for those as well. Thank you all, and I will talk to you soon. Bye. Thank you, YouTubers. No one was on this, so that's fine. And sorry, I was looking at this camera and not you, but I really wanted to be able to have this recorded to be able to share as well. And so I appreciate it. Love you guys, and let us know if you need anything at all.